Today we're looking at two-step equations. We're just going to put together the two things we learned last time. We learned how to solve by addition and subtraction and solve by multiplication and division. We're just going to put those two things together in one equation. So today most of the problems we have will have two steps instead of one, and that's okay. We know how to do both of those. But it does matter which step is first. So let's look at these. It's basically a bunch of examples and a word problem. So we're going to go through and show you how to show your work and how to do the steps individually. So we're going to look at the first one, 4x plus 1 equals 5. Now you always, when you're solving equations, you always want to look to the side with the variable to tell you what to do. You want x by itself. So to get x by itself, you've got to get rid of the 4 and the 1. But it does matter which one goes first. I don't want to divide by 4 first. If I divide by 4 first, I have to divide that by 4, that by 4, and that by 4. And that's going to give me some fractions, and I don't want to do that. I want to get rid of this number first, and that is done by addition or subtraction. You're doing the opposite. This is addition, so to solve, we're going to subtract. So the first step, and then you rewrite the equation. You bring this down, 5 minus 1 is 4. This comes down because it doesn't change. 1 minus 1 is just 0. It goes away, so you don't have to write it. Okay, so we rewrote the equation. This is an equivalent equation because it has the same solution as this one. Okay, now we're going to do the last step, which is the opposite of what you see here. That is multiplication. We're going to divide. So we show that with a division bar. Okay, 4 divided by 4 is 1x. Okay, we don't have to put the 1 there. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, and there's our answer. 2 steps, we get x equals 1. Okay, and you can always check mentally. If I put the 1 right here in place of x, 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. It does work. Okay, next one. Okay, I always like to put the line there. It's kind of crooked. First step, again, we don't want to divide first. We want to add or subtract first. So we're going to subtract 8. That's the opposite of that. Okay, bring down what doesn't change. The 3y doesn't change. That goes away because that's 0. Now I have a positive 2 and a negative 8. Opposite signs you subtract. So you get 6, but you get a negative 6 because the 8's larger. Okay, so I have 3y equals negative 6. I'll rewrite the equation after each step. Okay, last step, divide by 3, y equals negative 2. Okay, and circle. Okay, to check, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 8 is positive 2, and that works. Okay, even though, I'm going to try to draw a straighter line. I don't do any better there. Okay, even though the x is on the right-hand side, it doesn't really matter. We're going to solve it this way. I want to look to the right-hand side because that's where the variable is. I've got to get rid of the 2 and the 9, but I want to divide last, so I'm going to get rid of the 9 first. So minus 9, minus 9. 1 and negative 9 give me negative 8. You subtract because of the different signs. This comes down as 2x. That goes away, so I have 2x equals negative 8. Last step is the opposite of what this is. It's division by 2. That's multiplication by 2. You divide by 2. Divide by 2, you get x equals negative 4, and you're done. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 9 is 1. It works. Okay, here we're going to draw a crooked line there. No such thing as a crooked line. Okay, we're going to get rid of the 6 and the 20. Get rid of the 20 first. Minus 20. Minus 20. Negative 20 and positive 2. Opposite sign subtract. You get a negative 18. Bring down the 6x. That goes away. It's just 0. Okay, we rewrite the equation. Now we're going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. We get x equals negative 3. X equals negative 3. And again, it's better to write it with the x on the left-hand side. For you today, not a big deal. We'll just leave it like that. Okay, next slide. These obviously are a little different in the fact that we've got x over 4 minus 8 equals 1. We see this. This is a little different. Okay, but we still want to add or subtract first. So I'm going to draw a little line here. Okay, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. When I do that, the 8 goes away. 8 plus 1 is 9. Now I've got x over 4 equals 9. Okay, the thing is x over 4 is x divided by 4. So when you're solving this, you want to do the opposite of what you see. So we're dividing by 4. The opposite of that is multiplication by 4. So to multiply by 4, you just show it like that. We're going to put a dot 4, dot 4. When you do that, just to show you, you don't have to show this, but when you do that, you're really multiplying by 4 over 1, and these cross reduce, and you're left with 1x, which is what you want. Okay, 9 times 4 is 36, and there's our answer. X equals 36. Okay, if you put it back in here, 36 divided by 4 is 9. 9 minus 8 is 1. It works. Okay, y over 6. I'm rewriting the problem for some reason. Don't want to do that. Let's put our crooked line segment there. We want to get rid of this negative 2 and the 6. Remember, keep it, change it if that helps you. And that's a negative 2. So to make a negative 2 go away, you need an opposite. You need a positive 2. So plus 2, negative 2, give me 0. That gives me 8 over here. That goes away, and I just bring this down, y over 6. Okay, just copy it down. This is division, so the opposite as multiplication. Times 6, times 6. The 6's cancel. That gives me y. 8 times 6 is 48. Y equals 48. Moving on. Let's put our crooked line there. Okay, I want to get rid of the 4 and the negative 1. Well, that is a negative 1 because we're going to change that. There we go. I'm going to get rid of the negative 1 first. I don't want to multiply first. That would be a mess. Not a big mess, not as much as division would be, but I'm going to multiply last. So let's go with adding 1 here and adding 1 here. That gives me 3 equals x over 4. Okay, now this is division, so you do the opposite, which is multiplication. And I get x equals 12. I kind of ran into this problem a little bit, but there's my answer. I'm just going to turn it around like that and write it like it should be written, x equals 12. Here, crooked, that's a little better. We're going to keep it, change it. That's a negative 8. That's a division by 4. I want to get rid of the negative 8 first. So I'm going to add 8. Add 8. 12 plus 8 is 20. I get x over 4 equals 20. That is division, so the opposite of that is multiplication by 4. And I want to get multiply this and get 80. You multiply this, those cancel, you get x. I'm going to rewrite it, x equals 80. Now, none of these have a negative on the bottom, but if this were negative 4 down here, you would have to multiply by negative 4 right here. Okay, you've got to multiply by whatever's down there because it's got to cancel out. And that would give you a negative 80 in that case. But it's not a negative 4, it's positive. But anytime you have a negative down here, you have to multiply by that same number. Okay, not an opposite number. It's got to be negative 4 to cancel out. Okay, next slide. Look at this. We're going to draw a line here. I'm going to keep it, change it. Okay, I've got negative 4 and 12. I want to get rid of the 12 first because I can subtract to do that. And I want to subtract or add first. Minus 12. Bring this down. That hasn't changed. Negative 4x. I've got a negative 12 and a negative 12. Same sign sum. That's negative 24. Okay, and same, you get your answer is the sign of both numbers. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. X equals, well, the two negatives make a positive when you divide. So that's going to be positive 6. X equals 6. Almost through. I'm going to keep it, change it. Subtract 6 from both sides first. You get 2, and over here you get a negative 2x. Divide by negative 2. X equals, when you divide by negative, a positive by negative, you get a negative. X equals negative 1. You can always put that back up there. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Positive 2 plus 6 is 8. It works. Negative 2 equals 5 minus x. We're going to keep it, change it. First, we're going to get rid of the 5. That's a positive 5. It's not a negative 5. The x is negative. This is a positive 5. I want the opposite underneath. That's a negative 2 and a negative 5, which is negative 7. Bring down this negative x. Now, you can think of this negative x as negative 1x. I'm not finished with the equation yet because I want to know what positive x equals, not what negative 1x equals. So what I have to do is one of two things. I just either multiply by negative 1 or divide by negative 1. And a lot of people like doing this, especially when they first start equations. That's multiplication, so they show division by negative 1. Negative 1 divided. And when I do that, I get a positive x, which is what I want. And then over here, negative 7 divided by negative 1 is positive 7. And I'm going to rewrite it like this. Okay, x equals 7. Let's do a word problem and we'll be done. The best, I think the easiest way to do word problems is to read the question first so you kind of know what to look for in the problem. How much is each monthly payment? So the question is how much. We're looking for a money amount. So we're going to call that x. X equals monthly payment. So we're going to read the problem and see what we need to pick out of the problem to work this You are buying a drum set that costs $495. We're going to underline that. That's a total, and that goes in a specific place in an equation. The music store lets you make a down payment of $150. That's a one-time payment, not multiple payments. You can pay the remaining cost in 3 equal monthly payments. Those are multiple payments. So I think the best way, now there are different ways to write an equation. I like writing these where you put the total separately by itself. So we find this is the total, and I want to put that on the right-hand side by itself. Now everything we do over here adds to be that total. So that one's gone. Now I've got 150. That's a one-time payment. Well, that adds to the total of 495, but it's just going to be added once. Okay, it's not multiplied by anything because it's just a one-time payment. This is multiplied because it's 3 equal monthly payments. That means you're adding it 3 times. That's multiplication. So it's 3, and the monthly payment is x, so it's 3x. Okay, so the first step, let's do a little crooked line. We're going to subtract 150. So when I subtract, I get 5, I get 4, and I get 3. Bring down the 3x because that doesn't change. So I got 3x equals 345. This is multiplication, so I want to solve by division. I get x equals, that's 1. That's 1, and we're going to carry the 1 there. 3 into 15 goes 5 times. So x equals $115. So each monthly payment made is $115, and since it's a word problem and it's money, we're going to put a little dollar sign there. $115. And that should take care of 3.1.